Oh gosh, you guys. This is Ginger Cook in Houston, Texas. Want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Oh, don't you love that word, tuning in? Here we are in Houston, Texas, and you are everywhere, and yet we're able to do an art class tonight. If you're new to me, I'm an acrylic painter. I broadcast live on Monday nights at 7:30, Tuesday nights at 7:30, and Wednesday afternoons at 1 p.m. Texas time, which happens to be, wait for it, Central Time. We in Texas call it Texas time, however. And what do? We do the cookie crumbs, is most of the time we do crumbs. I don't know what we're doing tonight. I was sort of inspired to do something. I'm going to show you what it is. We'll see how it goes. But I have found, it's come back to me, that even really good, competent artists seem to just have trouble with trees. I don't know what that's about, because I've got some good friends that are really good artists, and then they come to the trees and they just fall apart. And trees are, gosh, they're the easiest things forever to paint. So I guess this is kind of a cookie crumb back to basic lesson for fall trees. Now today happens to be the first day, or yesterday was the first day of fall, okay? So let's zoom in on this I found this little photo somewhere. It's pretty. It's actually, I don't know where this is, somewhere up north where they have, it's still hot in summer here in Houston, but some of you are experiencing fall, I understand. And so maybe you'd be inspired. This is the time everybody wants to paint this kind of stuff when it's fall, which is understandable. So we're going to break this down in some really simple steps on just how you would construct a very simple painting like this. And the way we're going to keep it quick and easy, quick and easy, like those words, quick, easy, where we're going to do that is we're not going to start with a very big canvas. That's the first step. Step one is start with a small canvas. Now this is a little 6x8 real canvas sheets. Get these at Jerry's. It's real fabric. Gesso, just tear off a little sheet here like that. It's just easy as you can see. It's just totally easy. And then that's just, of course, it's not being easy tonight, but there it is. There. Oh, I was trying to tear off two. That's what happened. Well, if you can't count, you're in trouble. So there. Two doesn't tear off so easily. One pretty much is okay. Here's one, and let's see. I'll just take some scissors down and trim that up because I totally trashed this little canvas. But here we go. Sorry. There. Okay. So didn't want. Well, that's part of. That's a staple or something. Look at that. I just ripped the whole thing apart. Well, that's me. That's what I do. So you're probably much more careful than me. Okay, so we're going to start with that. We're going to start with this. And then we're going to see how it goes. And I'm going to tell you all kinds of exciting stuff. Now, those of you who have been following along for a while understand that next week, even though I gave you that big speech about being live every week, I'm actually going to be gone next week on a trip with two of my close friends from California. Coming out to Houston, Galveston, and then we're going to take a quick little cruise to the Caribbean from Houston, which will be fun. And so I will report back, take pictures, and report back from there. But in the meantime, we'll be putting up a lesson on Monday night, and wait till you see what I'm going to put up. Well, I'll tell you in a minute. Let's get some paint out here while we're going. Now, I want you to consider a new color. If you haven't ever tried this, this is called unbleached titanium. This is like an off-white. This is really a handy color to have. It's called unbleached titanium, and if you don't have it, you can add a little raw umber to the white, but I'm going to put a little on my plate anyway because this is great stuff. And it's a neutral. It's almost like a parchment color. And then, of course, we want white paint. So here's the titanium. Now I'm doing a gray plate. I did that particularly. Sometimes I use gray palettes. Okay, so that wasn't the right color. What was that? That was Naples yellow. Well, I don't want that there. So here, what are we going to do about that? Here, let's move the sticker. That's easier than trying to move the paint. Sticker's over here now. Titanium white's over here. Good job, Ginger. Okay, so scooting right around. Where do you suppose I put the titanium white? Well, I found some blue. We know we want phthalo blue. We'll get back to the white in a second. It's around here somewhere. There's titanium white. That's phthalo blue. Are you thoroughly confused, Jeff? Are you thoroughly confused? Now, I wanted you to see this. A gray palette, if you're buying wax paper palettes, gray is a good color to get because everything shows up. Your colors show up a little better. Here's the ultramarine blue. That's the color of blue jeans. And when they're together, when these two are together, let me just zoom in. When these are together, they look very much the same, which these little labels help. If you like these labels, we made these up. This was Avery, dress labels, and I made up a template for this. And if you want, you know, and then we'll show you where we'll share where we got them. See, I've already smeared this one with blue paint now. Clever. Anyway, you can go to our website, gingercooklive.gallery, and we're happy to just, you know, send you, you know, a thing you can print out and where we got the labels. You can just go buy them yourself. But I find this very handy, particularly when I get mixing colors where everything is. I'm finding this is a very handy system. Here's Cad Yellow Medium. That's your primary yellow. That is, what do we mean by primary yellow? Red, yellow, and blue are your main colors. You can't mix those, okay? Now yellow oxide is got gold. It's kind of a gold color. And of course you can mix that because it starts off with yellow and then it has some other colors in it. So there's yellow oxide. You see the difference, but you see how these are sort of nicely showing up here on the plate. Now let's see. I think we said we wanted Cad Red Medium, and let's see. I know I want Burnt Umber. Cad Red Medium. I think I've got enough to do a little out of here. And the really nice colors here. Here we go. So you get the rest of this out. This is totally the end of my Cad Red Medium here. But I have more tubes, so don't be worried. I have more stuff. There, trash. Okay, next. Next. Oh yeah, I think we said burnt umber. Yeah, here we're going to put some burnt umber out. And these are pretty much the colors we use all the time, and they just are so handy. Now, I want to apologize in advance to Victoria if she's on, because she doesn't like landscapes. But really, we got to learn how to do trees anyway. So, you know, we do lots of different things on our website. Do all kinds of wonderful things. Not always doing the same thing. Here's some Dazzling Purple. Right here, like that. A little bit of. See if I've got any left of this. There, a little purple there. Purple is a wonderful color, and that Dazzling you can't mix. I know that red and blue make purple, but Dazzling is one of those colors you can't mix. Now I want something called Burnt Sienna, and I'll get that for us. And let's see, Burnt Sienna right here, like that. That's a reddish brown color. You can kind of make Burnt Sienna. If you didn't have it, you can use Dazzling Purple and a little Cad Red Medium and come pretty close to that. Okay, and then here's the white. I know I was fooled. The cap was a little different. Here's the white here. I think we said here's our white. So I want you to see the difference between these colors. There, see, there's my white. Now when you see it on a gray, let's zoom back out just a hair. When you see it on a gray plate, you see there's the white, there's the unbleached. That's actually called Naples Yellow. And you see how much lighter it is than Cad Yellow Medium and Yellow Oxide. Naples Yellow Light, that's a very nice color, good for oceans, for highlights. And then we've got a pretty big space in here to make stuff. So I don't know how many of you are going to be painting along and just try to, this, you know, you don't have to panic. We will be leaving this lesson up. Everybody take a deep sigh of relief and know that, oh good, this lesson, we don't leave Tuesdays up or Wednesdays normally, but next week we're gonna. So you ready to see what we're going to paint next week? Okay, so my good friends that are coming down from California to go on the cruise with. I've known Jo for like, I don't know, and her husband for a long time, and she personally I've known for probably 40 years. We go back a long ways, and so it's her birthday. So I thought I'd make her a bag to go on the cruise. So let me show you what I did. I got a bag like this. It's just a little. I'm going to zoom way back out. Got this little fabric bag from Hobby Lobby, and then inserted a piece of foam core in here like that, right? And then on Monday, I'm going to show you how we painted this bag. That's going to be the lesson which we will leave up while I'm gone on the cruise. And what I found this Go Gale painting, which I've always liked. This one here with the little horse. Let's get it out of the light. Little horses like that. Oh, we don't have all the lights on. Good. Okay, that helped. All right. So see this, and so I painted this bag with this picture. Now I still have to varnish it with a matte varnish, probably a couple coats. But I painted that. That will be the lesson for next Monday. Now, you have the option of leaving this little guy off, or putting some blue jeans on him or something or whatever. I just kind of kept it to the painting. And then I thought, well, this is nice, but that's a little cheapy to, not do both sides. So then this side did not have any gesso on it. I'm going to give you advance. If you run out and buy a bag like this, and I think they're under $10, I did not gesso or anything. I just painted straight on the fabric. I think some white gesso on this would be very handy. And then I went ahead and did black gesso on this side of the bag, And then I'm going to show you on this side of the bag. This will be Tuesday's lesson, which will also be left out. We will do the Van Gogh Cafe. So that's what she's going to have on her bag, 2 famous art pieces. And that will be the lesson for not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, which we will also leave up. So if you're thinking about wanting to give you plenty of time to go find yourself a bag, and if you're wanting to know the dimensions on this, it's, what is this, about 12, well, this ruler is 12, and so you can see, what is this? It's about, what, 13 by 13. It's kind of a square, isn't it? Well, 13 by, yeah, about 13 by 13. Okay, but that's the bag, and it's real canvas. Okay, so if you want to do something like that, that's what we're going to be doing next week. How pretty is that? Is that cool or what? I thought so. I think she'll like it as a gift. You know, again, I have to varnish it, and just something. What do you give the person that has everything? Art. You know, that's the deal. You know. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take some, here's our picture, you can see that, we've got our paint out here. We're going to go ahead and just take a little piece of chalk. Now, our horizon line is back here somewhere. See, here's where our road ends, right here. It's almost, if I were to just take this picture now and just fold it in half, like that, here. Just slightly above half, here's the halfway point on the road. So if this is half the canvas here, so my road's kind of ending here like this. And it's curving around like an S like this, and then it's very small here like this. So it gets real narrow back here. This is an important thing. Your road always is narrower as it goes back. So this is, let's see, where did we say halfway was? Where's our pencil? I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. John suggested that, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to just fold this in half again and just show you like this. So if this is half, let me just show you right here. I'll just put a little line here like this, going across it like that. That's half. You see, just below half is where our road ends. So if you measure this, my little canvas here is 8 inches. So half would be 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So our road ends just a little bit. Even I don't have it up high enough. Really, could bring it up a little more like that. Our road ends about here, and it's coming around and curves this way. So it's got a nice sweeping S. This is an S curve design. When you're talking about painting design, this is called an S curve. So when we're going to do our underpainting, we're going to need it light up in here, but darker all in here. So somewhere, I'm going to just kind of show you, maybe I can take a different piece of chalk. Here, I'm going to say that somewhere, starting about here, like this, down here to the road, this is where, this is all going to be dark here, okay? See the word for dark, right? And dark, and this road's going to be dark. Okay, so here, how are we going to do that? Well, let's take a small brush, and let's see, let's grab our plates here. We're going to do an underpainting. So I'm just going to take a little angle brush like this. It's a 1/2 inch ruby satin silver angle brush, and I'm going to start with my light color. Now I'm going to just take this unbleached titanium and paint up here. If you don't have that, just take a little white with a tiny bit of raw umber in it, maybe a drop of yellow oxide, and let's paint the top of this light like this. I'm going to show you how we do that. We need a color underneath the color, so this is going to be our sky color. We could have done it light gray too, but I kind of like the idea of warming up this painting, okay? Now, for my road, I'm going to take a little bit of this color and a little bit of burnt sienna on like this, just like this. I'm going to say this is my, let's try this road color here. I'm going to keep it kind of interesting. Now, that's kind of a, here, let's just do this like that. We can paint that in. That's easy. Sometimes you just have to lay out your picture, and then the road kind of stops here. You see that, right? Comes around, twists around. This is a fairly simple picture to do, but again, we're talking about back to basics and trees and different colored underpaintings, not all the same color. Okay, like that. So there's this underpainting here. Now let's just rinse the brush. Now, why are we rinsing the brush? Well, because we got into some light paints, colors here. Now, if you talk about the grayscale, if you want to go dark, you can't, like the other side of the grayscale, you can't have any light on your brush. So this is where you touch the bottom of your container, swish it around, swishy, swishy, and then you take a rag and you're starting off with the clean white rag again. How optimistic am I? And then do that. Now we're going to take the darkest color we can make, which is burnt umber and a little ultramarine blue, trying to mix those together like that. And I'm going to come up here, in here like this, and I'm just basically going to paint this in, and I will just sort of do some odd little bits like that. This is all dark. And once, okay, let me just, yeah, here like that. Let's just get this down where you can see it, okay? So this is, incidentally, I want to introduce the other person on the other end of the phone here. I've got my little iPhone going, and the other person on the end of this is John Little. He's our moderator. He's my business partner in gingercooklive.gallery, and he will be holding down the fort while I'm off cruising. How cool is that, right? Next week. But anyway, he's the one that will answer questions and it will say them to me. So when you have a question, you can then type it out, and if John sees it, sometimes we get so many questions you almost have to put yours in capital letters. And we have a wonderful group of members, you know, people that are students that are members of my website, and a lot of times they'll answer the question before we even have to. They know all, right? And they will answer. They are happy to do that. But if for some reason you ask a question that seems to be a relatively popular with the group, something that everybody would like to know, you're going to hear this sound like that, and then that will be our question of the day, and you will be able to go to our website. You will be called the winner of the question of the day, and the question of the day winner can go to our website, gingercooklive.gallery, and you can either win 7 days of lessons, you know, compliments of us. We have over 195, almost 200 lessons now on our website that are just amazing, and you have full access to those, starting from one cookie, very easy, to lots of more difficulty. Or you might want one of our many downloadable videos that you can own forever. We just added the garden steps, and incidentally, we got this one back, this chair back the other day, and someone had done golf clubs next to it. Very clever. And of course we have the entire village series. So that's the question of the day. If we happen to get a good question, that will be it. Now keep on going with the dark. Okay, let's see. I'm just laying out this, laying out the painting here, and I'm going to get a little bit more color because I'm out already. So this takes some paint, and this is what you call your underpainting. This is the color that's underneath the color that's underneath the color, and I'm looking for, of course the question is going to come up, how do you know what color? I'm looking for the darkest color in this photograph, this real dark color, and then everything's going to go on top of that. Okay, so this sort of, I want the background color. What's the color that's behind? All right, that's what we're looking for, background color. Well, the question is, do you always have to use a warm color for the undercoating of a fall painting? Well, I guess so much depends on the photograph. I got a really good photograph. I almost did this painting tonight. I just didn't think it would look very good on the thumbnail. It's the only reason I didn't do it. And I'll show it to you in a little bit. And it was a beautiful painting with trees and reflections, and I don't believe I would have used a warm color there. It just depends on what you're painting. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, warm colors are like red or yellow or reddish brown. Think of things that would burn in the sun. Cool colors are like, you know, blue, purple, that kind of thing, okay? So we sort of have a combination of warm and cool colors here, don't we? Because there's a lot of blue in this brown. I could add a bit more brown, but there's a lot of blue in this brown. So that's basically, this is our underpainting. Now what has to happen now is, and I'm going to just kind of come up here now and just make this a little bit more raggedy, like that, something like that. So that's, you're going, wow, are you sure that that's right? That doesn't look very right to me, but that's kind of what we have to do. So now, all right, so there's our picture, and you're going, I don't see that in this, don't see it. Well, that's why art lessons are helpful, because it helps you understand what you have to see first. And then once you know that you have to see this first, then you're going to be all okay with it, right? So one thing we could do is take a little palette knife. I'm just going to show you a little trick while this is still wet. And you could come up here like this and you could scrape out some trees in the background. Just saying, you know. This is really good if you have multiple layers of underpainting. Kind of scrape out something like that, but just a little trick with the palette knife. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dry this. Okay, do I have any questions before I dry? The question is, they've got a painting that's got a curve to the roof, and he wants to know if there's a way to get an even measurement. Without seeing the picture, I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. You know, for me, that, you know, a lot of times photographs, here's the problem with photographs, is that they could be wrong. There's a shock. Photographs can be totally wrong. That person took it at such an angle and they're off. And then if you paint it exactly like the photograph, you're going to be off too. And part of you may be sensing that the photograph's not right too. So sometimes you have to be your own architect. Buildings can be a little challenging that way because you can't, depending on how someone photographed it, they've got it crooked or all kinds of things can happen. Okay, so I'm going to just put my little weight on this and let's dry this, okay? 1, 2, 3, dry. Okay, that was fast, easy, quick. All right. So now the question remains, we got to do kind of the background. So what I want is a smaller brush. Now I'm going to take a little 1/4 inch little angle brush, and we're going to just do some miscellaneous willy-nilly leaves with little tiny, almost painting like an impressionist. I'm going to move this up here like that. I'll zoom back out just a hair like that, because what I'm trying to get here is the let me just move that a little closer here. Maybe I can weight that down. Okay, we've got a little fan going here in the background. I'll just turn that fan off there. It's blowing all my stuff around. Okay. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to put in some of this gold color. I want a little bit of gold with a tiny bit of cad red medium, so it's almost a kind of a warm orange. And I'm going to just come up here like this, and I'm going to start coming over all this, putting in these little brush strokes. Now let's zoom in really close so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so now, and I'm just doing this, some of them cross over. This, I'm going to do this pretty fast, so don't panic. This is going pretty fast. This whole sky is almost all these colors. So a little bit of cad red medium, a little bit of yellow oxide, and I'm saying this is sort of my gold tone underpainting here. It's coming down over the dark here like this, over these trees, into these bushes, and I'm making these little tiny brush strokes like that. Okay. The thing I like about acrylics is you could do any old color underpainting and still make all this work. It's just sometimes when you do an underpainting like this, it is more helpful. So notice that I use a lot of this color, and I'm using it up fairly quickly. Okay, so let's just move this out of the way because it's kind of on. Here's our trees. It's coming this way, like that, and this is kind of, if this were large, it's a little tedious, but this is how we're going to do it. Now on this side, we're going to get a little white, and we're going to get a little cad yellow medium, a little white. And on this side, we're going to start adding some light color here. I didn't rinse the brush, So here's some little light, and so as this comes over in this direction, cad yellow light would be good for this too. I just didn't want you to have to get too many colors. If you had cad yellow light, that would be a good color for this. I'm going to come in here like that, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of white. Come over here to maybe even on top of some of this, barely touch it. Now as I keep going, now this is still wet, but I know that I've got some of this light yellow coming up here, so if I just touch it and lift it up like stomping your foot, then I can get away with a little bit here. Don't want too many globs here, but here we go. So now I'm going to say that here's this, like that. Okay, now as I come down into here, let's just move this photograph up. Let's get this out of the way. I'm going to come down this way into our dark here, and then back into our orange colors, which is like, we'll try a little yellow in cad red medium now, a little cad yellow and cad red medium. And let's just brighten up the oranges as we come forward, and we're going to come all the way down here like this with these tiny little brush strokes. Toop toop, very tiny, coming down over the dark. Now we've got a tree that's going to be about here. Now we're changing the direction of the brush strokes. Very important. Now we're going sideways. We're going sideways, and we're going to start putting in little tiny sideways brush strokes. These are the leaves that fell down from the trees. We're going this way. Everything's going sideways. It's like your brush strokes, the direction of your brush strokes, it's like the grammar of your painting, what something is. A friend of ours was painting a round fish, and everything looked very round except the markings around the fish were all straight across. They weren't following the belly of the body, and therefore, even though all the shading was perfect, the fish didn't look round. Okay, see this? I'm coming this way. I once did a giant painting like this, won all kinds of awards with it. All fall woods, just all with little brush strokes like this. Okay. Now we already have a photograph, so I want you to know that if we needed a photograph of this, we would just blow up the photograph. So we're going to do an artist interpretation of this photograph, okay? This is what we got going here. Like that. Alright, now that's pretty good. And then I'm going to put a few in here anyway. Like this. This is where that tree is going to be, so I'll have some back here like that. Now, cad red medium. Let's brighten up some colors here. Just touch it. Everything's wet. Pure cad red medium, because we're going to brighten this up. I've certainly been in places where the leaves were so bright and beautiful. Let's put a little more red back up in here. Just pure cad red medium. Come up this way. Come up under where these trees are. I'm going to say that there's some nice red trees here. How about over in here? Remember, this is still wet, so what's happening is if you're just touching this, it's blending with the colors underneath. You're actually mixing on the canvas when you touch this. You just pick it up and move. Pick your brush up and move. There we go. It's a little brighter here. Now let's just pull a little bright red this way, like that. Come over the side of the road a little bit with our leaves. Okay, so now so far so good. You see it's kind of coming together now before we have to dry anything. I just kind of want you to see that sort of coming together. Now I'm just going to pinch my brush. Now let's take a little bit of yellow and white and make a light color. And let's just come back to barely touch this now. Maybe I'll say this is a little bit lighter up in here like this. Back up over here on the edge. Maybe I've got something light coming down in through here too. Some sort of light leaves coming this way. Let's break this up. I'm kind of seeing this thing right here. Wait, let me move this down. Let me show you what I'm thinking about. Seeing this little bit of light leaves right there. Maybe there's something there. Okay, now we'll do some more, but this is pretty covered. Do you see that? This is pretty covered. We haven't had to do much. We just did this. It's already kind of pretty, isn't it? Okay, so now we're going to rinse the brush and go into our road color, I want to come here like this. This is our light road. I'm straight across. This is where people lose it. Straight across like this. And we're going to say that this is our road, and I'm going to leave some of the edges a little bit with it's a little bit darker brown. Brush has been in water, so I'm going to come here across here like this. Now we'll put the trees that are the shadows on top of this light color, this cream color. But the underpainting is the brown, and then this is the next color. People say, well, why didn't you just do it this color? Well, because I want a bit of that brown underneath, and I want a bit of that brown on the road, like this. See, I'm skipping some spaces. It's not quite solid, okay? Coming this way. Now, as I come a little forward, I'm going to add a little tiny bit of burnt sienna to that, just slightly, like about 2%. As I come forward, I'm going to tone this road down just a little bit. It's not quite so bright in here. A little tiny bit of burnt sienna with it. And this all stays pretty even. Do you see that? This is all staying pretty even. Now, coming around here like this. Don't be afraid to sort of sneak in a few places. Here's our nice road. Now it's getting a little wider. Well, right now what I'm using is the buff titanium and a tiny bit of burnt sienna. But you could be using, if you don't have that, you could be using a white, a little bit of burnt sienna, and a little tiny bit of yellow oxide would do it too, or even a little burnt umber, or raw umber would be good. So as I started, in other words, you're starting off with sort of a beige color, and then you're warming it up a bit with that burnt sienna color. So here I'm coming down like this to my road here like this. Now let me just, I'm going to change color of the paper. I think if I had blue, it would show up better. What did I do with that blue paper? Well, I don't see it. So let me just turn this over like that. I just want you to see that it's just that my paper is so close to the underpainting color, it's hard to see it, right? Okay, so I'm going to come back here with a little bit on here in the shadow part, a little tiny bit of that burnt sienna color right here, just a tiny bit right back here, and say here, just right in here where it makes the curve, right like this. I want to make sure I've got that in shadow like this, kind of over some of that red that we did. Okay, all right, so that's our road so far. Oh, that's kind of fun, right? Okay, so then what? Well, we've got a bank that's coming down here like this, and then coming down. Do you see this? It's coming down, coming like that. You guys see that? That's this bank. And when you do a line kind of straight up and down, you indicate a bank as opposed to just kind of less curved. So let's start off with the Fall Never is just all one color. There's sort of a dark green. So we've had this light color on the brush, and I'm letting all this dry. All right, letting all this dry. Now we're going to just let's make a green. So let's take an ultramarine blue and some yellow oxide, more ultramarine blue, a tiny bit of burnt sienna. I'm using that color. Let's just darken this green up. Okay, and let's just say that let's just tap in this green here like this, kind of following those brush strokes like that what I just painted in there where the chalk marks is, like that, leaving some of the dark to peek underneath like that. Okay, now maybe I'll come back up here like this. Let's say it's a little bit higher up in here. We don't know what happened up here. Now light yellow. Now watch what happens when you go right on top of this green with light yellow, which is your yellow and white color. What happens? It turns a light green because this is still wet, and I'm just tapping. Let me get real close so you can see this. Okay, so I've just got this light yellow on the brush, and I'm holding it vertically, and I'm tapping this in here like a little foliage. I'm still leaving some of the dark color, but I'm saying that there's some sort of dark green, and then I go straight down at the bank. Remember That's the reason I did those chalk marks. When you do a couple taps and nothing happens, get a little more paint like this. Just tap it in there. Okay, like this, and it's kind of this bright yellow back in here. Something's happening in back behind here. Now I'm going to add a little bit of white to that and lighten this up even more. And say that this is some sort of bushes coming down here around the corner. Well, we don't know what. We got some bushes here, hard to say. Now this is very small. I mean, this would be easier big, but you can kind of see that's green. Now, do I want this green anywhere else? Yeah, I want a little of this dark green color in here, but I think I need to put it after I do the trees. But it would be right in here, but I'd have some of this green coming right in this part. Might put a little bit in here, a little bit of green where this is. Just a bit, just tap some in here like this. There's going to be some sort of little green bushes here. Put some dark back. Now I'm going to take that dark green too, put a little more blue in it. I want to come back into this woods, and right over my dark color, I'm just going to add it. You're barely going to see it, but it's going to just soften that dark brown color we just put back there a little bit, Okay, so this is what we got so far. Let's zoom back out. Cool, huh? Now we do have to probably dry it, all right? That'd probably be our next best step, is to dry everything. So let's take a minute. Do I have a question before I'm drying? What is my favorite painting that I've ever painted, and why? I guess I don't think I have a favorite painting that I've ever painted. I've had a lot of paintings that I've really liked, and people have bought them, and they went away. I've a few I've never sold, but then eventually something sells. I don't know. I really don't have a good answer for that. I wish I had an answer for that. I think it's just like when here's what happens when you're an artist, you guys. Is the first time you paint something that really comes out, that's your favorite painting. And then you get a little better and that's your favorite painting. And then you get a little better and that's your favorite painting. So just imagine that over 40, 50 years, and there's always a new favorite painting. You know what I'm saying? There's always, because you're always getting better. You never stop getting better. You don't suddenly say, okay, I've done this for 10 years, now I'm it. Because you're learning all the time. You're getting better as long as you live. So there'll always be a new favorite painting. How's that? Always be a new favorite painting. Okay, so yeah, it had a little bit more blue in the green to it. Yeah, just a little more blue in the green. This last color I kind of put on in there. All right, I'm gonna dry this. Okay. It doesn't take long to dry because it's been setting up. We're gonna get the old one too about the tree business now. Okay, you guys. So here's my chalkboard. Zooming back out. Now, here's the deal. Trees, they don't start here and get up to here in like an afternoon. You don't look out your window and say, gosh, there wasn't a tree yesterday. Look, Mom, there's a tree today. No, you plant a tree and it starts off very skinny, and then it starts to get fatter and fatter, and as it builds up, the one thing you notice about a tree as it builds up is it's always thinner on the top. Remember that? Than it is on the bottom. Okay, so the bottom usually is wider, and it's coming up like this. And there's a lot of different trees in the world, but that's pretty much the rule about trees. Some like they use for telephone poles and stuff. They pretty much the same size all the way up. But most trees, regardless, they're wider at the bottom. And what you want to be kind of careful of is that you, for instance, like I'll show you this little tree right here in the picture. It's doing this. It kind of did this, and then it got a little crooked. It's not necessarily. It's not like your spaghetti noodles. Okay. So you want to, again, you're going to just think about the shapes of things when you're painting them, okay? And then if you have a branch here, you never have a branch there, okay? Like a Y, you don't do that, okay? So if you have a branch here, you've got a shoulder, and it probably does some sort of crooked thing like that. It just probably just does some sort of little angular thing, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it angles. And then you may have a branch shooting off here like this, but if you make it a little more crooked, it's a little more interesting, even if in the photo it seemed a little more straight. And again, you wouldn't put a branch right here. You'd go up and put a branch, okay? And the same thing, here's another tree back here. We're going to say that that one's a little bit straighter, but still, you know, maybe these trunks are touching. And again, these branches are coming like that, and they're thinner as they go up, okay? Now maybe a tree like this is actually, that's our biggest tree. It might be a little wider here, but it's pretty big. That's a pretty big tree, so when we're painting that in, and then here's the thing, if you have a tree like this, you don't have branches just here and here. What about the branch that started here? What do you do about this one, the one that started right here in the front? Well, how do you show that? Well, you can't. All you can show with that is some leaves coming across the front like this. If you do something like that, you're suggesting, or a little branch coming this way, you're suggesting that it's coming from the front, okay? I don't know if that's big enough. Let's do that again. So here's a branch coming kind of this way. I'm saying it's growing off the front. Or maybe I've got some leaves coming this way. And now I'm saying that that's the branch that's sticking on this side of the tree. So think about that. They're just not all on the side like wings, or on the other side, okay? And then also, there's leaves behind this tree that you don't see the branches, so you're just going to see the leaves, right? That's all you're going to see, because the leaves are from branches that are on the other side of the tree. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about drawing trees. That's real important. Now, let's see, what did we do with the picture? Oh, it's stuck to the back of this. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to say I've got a tree here, and I'm going to put a stop up here. I'm going to say, here's my tree, and I think I'll use some brown chalk. I've got some brown here. I'm going to come up here like this, and the brown isn't showing. Maybe I've got some blue chalk. I'm going to come up here like this and say, here's my first big tree, like this. And also, I could just do it one line. I really don't need, now I've got a tree that's coming over the road like this, that's kind of coming off that way. And do I need every tree in here? Maybe not. Maybe I'll just put one here and see how I like it. Do I have to do all 5 trees just because it was in the photo? No, okay. And then we've got some trees over here that are coming up into the, and they end in the canopy. And we've got some tall ones coming up this way, like that. See, they're ending in the canopy, like this. Here's some branches like that. So let's zoom in. So let's just put these let's put these trees in now. I mean, let's just put these trees in. So let's take a small brush, that one we had, and we'll start with a dark brown for an umber color, maybe, and a little tiny bit of cad red medium with it. Kind of warm it up a little bit. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say, here's my first tree, right like this. And I know it's going to come up this way. And then as it goes up, it's going to get thinner. So maybe I'll just paint the center of it and then see what happens. So it goes all the way off the paper, I mean off the canvas, so it goes all the way off up here. Okay, so here's this side. Alright, so okay, it's still fatter on the bottom, like that, and it's kind of buried there. And maybe you want to just turn it sideways. That might be easier for you. Okay, so we're going to say, here's this tree. And then what about this one that came over the road? I like this one. Let's start this one here. This one's kind of coming up like this and that way. And this one works for me design-wise. Okay, like that. There's this one. And we'll put a smaller one back here. I think I just want 3 trees. I don't need 5. So that's what we're going to have. And if you're using an angle brush, you can use your little brush just like this on its knife blade. And the harder you push, the fatter the line. Alright, so we got some trees in here. That's sort of a start. There was something back in here, but maybe we'll just suggest it like that. Just put a little tree back there. We're going to suggest it. Now I'm going to rinse the brush. Then I always am pulling it to a point like this. And then I want to come up here and do these others. I'm going to add a little dazzling purple to this. I want these a little darker. And let's see, I don't think they're going to show up this way, so let's just see. Let's take a dazzling purple and a little bit of cad red medium. Let's try that. Okay, let's see what kind of tree we get that way, because otherwise they're not going to show up. Okay, so they're going to skip a space. They're in the canopy. Now, here's where you could use a smaller brush, quite frankly. And I want to just take a second. Recently in the mail, like last week in the mail, I didn't get to have a chance to show you. I was very excited. Cinnamon said I should have opened the box on the air. I know she does that. Cinnamon's my daughter, the art Sherpa. You know, I never think that far ahead. I got these beautiful ruby satin silver brushes. Look at these, you guys. These are just gorgeous. And this was courtesy from my friends over at the Brush Guys. Who are now my new best friends. They just sent me these nice brushes. So thank you very much. But what I've been using ruby satin silver brushes for the last 30 years, and they're my favorite brush. And Cinnamon asked me what brushes that I hadn't tried before. I'd never tried their liner brush. This is used for trees, just what I happened to do it. And I've never tried their small little pointy brush. I like this. And then they sent me a ruby satin silver bright brush, and I want you to see the difference. These brushes do wear out. When a bright brush is spot on, it's very, very thin at the top. They're tapered, and when they wear out, they're not. See what I mean? This brush is worn out. This brush is not. And there's a little difference. You can kind of see it, can't you? This is skinnier and stays flatter. Now you can still use a brush that's worn out, but one of the ways you can keep your brushes from wearing out is sand your canvas. When you're using rough canvases, sand your canvas. That will save the life of your brushes. But brushes, they last a long time. And Cinnamon, and it's got a good relationship with the Brush Guys. They sell all brands of brushes there. And this is a number 8 ruby satin silver bright brush. You see me use that all the time. You see the knife blade I've got on that? And I want you to see, let's see, I can show you one that's worn out. Here's one that's worn out a little bit. It's not as perfect. Let's see. Oh, I got a better one than that. Here. This is really worn out. This is really old. See how frayed it is? Let me hold it against something white. You can see it. See how frayed this one is? And see how perfect the knife is on this one? Here's the good one that I just got from them, and here's the frayed one. So I don't throw these out, but you need to replace your brushes every once in a while. And the nice thing about ordering from them, these guys have got the best. The reason I have kept talking about them, not because I expected anything, I was totally surprised about talking about the Brush Guys, is they have really, well, in my opinion, the best prices on the internet. This is why. And then Cinnamon got us an even better deal. If you use the Art Sherpa, if you type that in all one word, you get an extra discount, which almost covers the shipping. So that to me is, and they always seem to have a lot of stuff, and they get it to you right away, and I really like them. So thank you very much, you guys, for these brushes. And now the question is, have I tried the boiling water trick yet? The boiling water, apparently, when I actually met the people that make these silver brushes at a thing in January when I went to a trade show, material show, and I met this woman that apparently it's her company, and I said, "Oh, I love these brushes," and she looked at me like, "Oh, of course you do," like, so what's new? And she said, then finally she said, "Well, how do you like them?" And I said, "Well, I really like them. I wish they lasted longer." And she said, "Are you putting them in boiling water?" I'm going, "Not recently, no." Why? In 30 years, no one ever suggested that. So apparently, now this is the different. Boiling water is not going to fix a brush that's missing hairs and it's worn frayed. But there's not enough boiling water that's going to do anything for that. I'm sorry. But apparently when they start to lose their nice edge, you can dip them in boiling water and flatten them out. Cinnamon's tried this and let them dry. And then they'll kind of spring back as long as you haven't worn off the brush hairs. Okay? And that's one of the tricks. And the trick is, sand your canvas so you don't wear them out. That would be your first thought. So that being said, I'm going to try the brand new brush. I'm going to let you see what that does. I'm going to wash the sizing off of it. I'm going to come up here. And I'm going to just get a little of this up. Let's just try that brown color I had. What do we have? A little purple and cad red medium. And let's just see. See, I would use it right on its knife blade now. Oh yeah, see, that's so good you can't know it. When they're new, it's like a shiny new car. Okay, so here's our tree coming up here like this. Like that. Now that's This is just a short-handled number 12. And of course I want this tree to be a little bit wider. So I'm going to start here, and then it's going all the way up to the top through the canopy, like that. Maybe it's going to fork there. I have another one here, like that. Here's our trees. So we got some tiny ones back here too. We can put in a few, like that. So here's our trees here. I'm going to bring these front ones down a little bit longer, like that. And you're going, yeah, but they don't show up very well. No, don't kidding, they don't, because you have to have a contrast to have anything show up. That's the thing. Wherever there's a light, there's a dark. That's the key to painting anything. So, for instance, we know the light's coming from this way. So the first thing we're going to do with this tree is we're going to just fix this tree. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a little ultramarine blue and a little burnt umber and mix those together like that. And then I'm going to come this way, sideways, on this tree, and I'm going to pull all the brush strokes this way toward me like that, just pulling it sideways. This is one of the tricks of doing trees. Just pull it towards you like that. And I'll do the next one too. One next to it, I'll pull that toward me. And I can, when you have a good brush, it's really easy to do. Just sort of tap that, pull that towards you, and let's do that on the big one too. And I'll make this tree a little bit bigger. And I'm pulling the paint toward me, just pulling it right like that. Okay, so there's my dark side of that tree. Okay, see that? That's the dark side. So it's already looks a little more tree-like. Now, what I need to do is take some light paint and do some highlights. Now this is sort of interesting because this tree doesn't have as many. This one here, but these two do. Those do. So what could I do with this one? Well, let's just take a little bit of white paint, and I'm just going to mix it a little bit here with that kind of make a light gray color like this with that blue and purple color. Now, here, tap off the excess paint. Now I'm going to come on this side like this and tap in. See this? And just pull it toward me a little bit. There's the lighter side of that tree, like that. That was a little bit grayer. I can come up here with a little white and light yellow, and then maybe touch it a little bit in a couple places. They just all have to be the same color, but that gray will show up against the yellow background. See, now we got a highlight, and let's highlight this one too. Let's take a little of that yellow and white, and here's it. Got a little gray on the brush, and we're just gonna do a highlight. See, and I can do that with this. See how fine the lines are I can get with a new brush? I mean, it's just phenomenal, isn't it? There, like that. Okay, so there's the highlight on this one. Now, sadly, this in the photograph, this one isn't as lit. So let's take a little bit of, let's make a lighter color. Let's take a little bit of burnt sienna and maybe a little bit of white. Burnt sienna is that rusty color, okay? And let's go ahead and put it on there anyway. Let's just say that this tree has got a lighter side to it. Doesn't have to be that much. You can put a little of the color here anyway, see? Then wipe your brush off, and then just sort of blend that in a little bit. Okay, like that. I'm going to say that that's my lighter color. Here's some darker color. And I might come up here, wipe the paint off. Trick is you put a little paint on the brush and then kind of wipe it off. And here's a little dark on this side. Now that you see how suddenly we've got this tree. Oh, and you got to get it all the way off the canvas too. This has got to come all the way off the top of the canvas. Can't stop it halfway up like a chimney. Okay. All right. Now what happens here is that we've got a lot of little brushes, or rather little tiny branches coming off of these trees. Okay. This brush will not do that easily. So let's switch to one of these little small ones. This is called a, well, they call that a script brush, and it's very long and skinny. And what you do is you wet it like this, and then you kind of mist your paint like that, and get it kind of ink-like. This is where a brown flow would be very nice, and you put that on the brush like this, put that on the brush like this. You kind of mix it in here like this and make it kind of ink-like. Kind of roll your brush off like that. Just have it like this. Now, if I want a little branch now watch, I'm barely touching it. I mean, is that not amazing? Now this is my arms being kind of supported here. Remember, there's always a nice pressure here. My arm's supported by the table. If your arm is not supported by a table, if you're doing this on an easel, then you'll have to support yourself somehow. But let's just pull some branches. We've got some trees way back in here, and kind of skip it behind these leaves. And then we're going to say that here's another big branch. Maybe let's bring one up this way. It doesn't matter what the tree has. At some point, you're going to have to override what the tree has and do your own thing, okay? Because what the tree has may not serve you. Does that make sense? Okay, so maybe we've got a little tiny one here. Now, depending on how many branches you want to put, maybe there's just some back here that are kind of doing this. We've got something coming into this tree like down here like this. I'll put it just kind of coming in on the side like that, and it's doing this, and if I got it wrong, I'll just put some leaves. Okay, so for me, the easiest thing for me is to go, I would rather turn it upside down. For me, I prefer, it's easier for me to do a thin line starting thick and then pulling it toward me. That to me is much easier than going the other way. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's easier for you, okay? So that's what you have to decide, is what's easier for you. Doesn't really matter what's easy for me. And if you're left-handed, all bets are off. You're going to do it your own way anyway, okay? So see how we put these little branches in, and we're going to do the same thing with the light. We're going to take the light color, take a little white with this brown, and we want to do the same thing. Now we're not going to be so elaborate on these trees, but we're just going to come on this side of them with this brush, and there's our highlight. And I'll mist this paint right here so that I've got a little bit of a light color. So here's the highlight on this brush, like this on this side of the tree. And this is a very nice light from the road. Let's put a little more yellow oxide in that. It's a little white. It is in the picture, but doesn't necessarily mean that's the right thing to have it be. Just because the photograph has it white doesn't mean you should. Okay, so let's just say that we got something light in here like that. See how we're getting the highlights on the trees? And you've got your brushes. A lot of times people think they can't paint, and it's your brushes. Having some kind of script brush like this is absolutely wonderful to have, because it gives you such great control of where you're going. And go real slow. Don't try to go fast. I see people do this, they'll go real fast, and then they said it didn't work. Yeah, it did. Quit going so fast. It worked fine. Just stop it. Go slower. Now I got this branch a little thick, so I'm just going to come up here with a little white and thin it up. There we go. Okay. Sometimes, and then maybe I'll just do, remember where we scratched out some trees? Maybe I'll just do some small little light ones in the back. Just suggest there's some trees back here. There could be, with way back in here like this. Okay, and how about here? Should I lighten up this a little bit? Yeah, because acrylics are darker. That wouldn't be a terrible idea. What about next to this branch? You can go so thin with a branch like this, with a tree like this. See, on the limbs here, you can even lighten it out. Okay, we'll just put a little, see, it doesn't take much to make these work. So I would say that thank you very much for the brush, guys. I love this brush. I absolutely love this. And I want this one a little bit thicker down here. This little tree right here, like that. Might come back with a little dark. And remember, you don't overload the brush too much with paint. If you get a glob of this, you'll no longer get this nice, it will no longer work nice for you. This has got to be really, a brush like this needs real inky stuff. It has to flow like ink, which means you need more water with it. But I'm going to say that little tree is fatter than maybe this one is too. And just kind of bring these up a little more. Okay, so there. So we've got some pretty trees there. No question about it. Here's some little light color right here. And again, acrylics dry darker, so you can add some white later. Okay, so let's say that there's it branching off like this. And skip some foliage, skip some places. You can have just some imaginary branches up in the trees like this. They don't have to go into anything. Your mind will connect it like that. Just say that there's some branches. Okay, so what about our shadow on the road? Let's do that next. And now what happens with this brush, you're going to really rinse it. Now here's the trick, you guys. You can never leave a script brush in water, ever, for even a minute. That's the fastest way to have them bend and never get them back. You've got to just really take care of them. Make sure that you've rinsed them really well. Maybe have your own little soap and water thing next there, and then pinch them like this and leave them flat. Don't fool with those, and they'll last you a long time. Otherwise, if they're bent, then they don't work anymore. Sorry, and they're really hard to unbend. Not enough boiling hot water in the world to unbend them. Okay, so now let's put these brushes out of the way. And now we need to say, we got to dry this real quick, John. But I guess before we did that, we could put some shadows over the road. That'd be easy, yeah? Yeah, some shadows. We'll do this. We'll do that. Maybe this will be dry by the time we do it. Now, this brush that they sent me, this is for this is a filbert grass comb. We don't have any grass, so I can't show you how that works. Well, maybe I could do it here. Let's see. Let's just play for a minute. What if we took a little white and a little phthalo blue and a little yellow oxide and made kind of a bright green grass here, right like that. And then added a tiny bit of cad red medium, like less than 1%, to make it tone it down. You know, red is opposite green on the color wheel, so we're toning this down. So we want a bright green, but not so bright that it's, you see me sort of mixing this color. Alright, so I want kind of an olive green. And if I wanted to say this was brighter here, I could just tap this, tap it. See what I'm doing? Just tapping it. Oh, that works. Look at that, little grassies. Haha. Okay, it kind of works. Right by my, let's do a little bit lighter here. Let's just lighten something up. There was some real light coming up to the trees. Do you see that? See the light coming up to the trees where the grass is a little lighter? Right in front of the trees. See that? Now there's a trick to this. See? Now, see, we said the light came right up to the front of the tree and came down like that, right? So you're chasing the light in this picture, which can be very effective. Even though it's real small, okay? Even though this is a bitter picture. Now we're going to just rinse that one off. And I think we'll take just a flat brush. One of, well, let's just do an angle because I have one here. Now we wanted kind of a glaze, so we're going to do a water glaze. I'm just going to mist some of this paint. And what you want to do is just kind of test it on here. Put a little water on your plate like that. Just take your plate like this and make a little puddle somewhere. And then just, you're talking about coffee or tea stain. You don't want any white in this. You don't want any white at all. So a little bit of burnt umber, a little bit of water, even a little burnt sienna would be okay. A little bit of water, tap this off. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to say that right here from these trees going across the road is we've got a shadow. Now I'm going to rinse my brush. Now I'm still going to go with this. I rinsed my brush because now that's the paint still on the brush, even though I rinsed it, and kind of made it a little curvy like that. And I'm going to say that there's my shadow going across here like that. I'll pull a little more paint here. Okay, we want it kind of translucent. You want shadows a little translucent. Now go ahead and do some little skinny ones coming across here like that. Just, you see I'm almost getting the paint off the paper. Now keep it straight across the road, you guys. Don't get it at an angle, it won't look right. It's got to be straight. This has got to be straight, and if you're doing this down here, it's got to be straight across the road. You're saying these are the shadows from the trees. Alright, so let's take, where's our little puddle over here? Problem with this is I had a little white in it and I didn't want that, but that's okay. Alright, so here's our shadow going across here. Keep it straight, okay? So we're saying that there's some trees. kind of off camera. Does that make sense? We don't even know where they're coming. They're over here somewhere, but we're seeing their shadows. Okay, that's what we're seeing, like this, and then maybe down here at the bottom, we're just saying that something happened here too, like that. There we go. Okay, so those are our shadows going across the trees. And then, if you have to, if you want to, you can lighten up. If you need to, you can come back up here and lighten it up a little bit on the curve if you need to. If you need it to be a little bit brighter, bring that around like that. Now, I'm going to lighten that up just using that sort of, you know, light color that we use for the road. And I think I want a little bit brighter back here. So I'm deliberately lightening up this. And then I'll take a little of the shadow color and then make it smaller right there. All right, so see how just put a little bit of light going around the curve, which can be very effective. Okay. And then what we've got to do now is put some leaves in front of these trees. So that's our last step, okay? The last step is to put some leaves in front of the trees. I could answer a question, John, while we're waiting to do that. I'm good, okay? I'm good. Oh, great. Okay, so something that I observed in this picture was, see, I stopped my greenery here, but see here the greenery's coming up? Because fall doesn't happen all in one day. If you know, it just doesn't. So what we want to do is we want to put some greenery kind of coming up into our trees. So let's take a little yellow oxide and a little bit of burnt ultramarine blue, okay, little oxide ultramarine blue. And let's come back up here now, and in between these trees, and then maybe even in front of some of them, we're going to say that there's some leaves coming up here like that are green. See, in here like that, either behind or in front of these trees. We've made this decision. And then there's some real light color, so take a little bit of cad yellow light and a little bit of white. If you had that, this would be a good color too, that Naples yellow. And wipe your brush off a little bit so you don't have globs, and just touch it like this. When a little picture like this, you want to touch it and say that here's on the top of the leaf, the bottom part is dark and the top is light. You're going to say that there's some of these little leaves in front of these trees. Now, as you went to all the trouble to paint them, and anywhere you kind of goofed them up, put a leaf. I guess that would be what I'd tell you. You're trying to decide how to do that. Wrong way. Ooh, that's pretty though, isn't it? Let's go the other way. Okay, see, it came through here like this, and then you can finish it off with a tiny bit of just cad yellow medium and yellow oxide mixed together, just in a few places. Use just the corner of your brush and add some light. Remember, the light's kind of coming this way, so the light isn't underneath. The darker colors of all leaves, regardless of what kind of tree it is, are underneath, and the lighter colors are on top. And if you can remember that, no matter what kind of tree you're painting, you'll be good to go. Okay, so I'm saying that there's some brighter colors here like that in front of these trees, like that. And then maybe there's something growing down in here, see, in front of this one. Could have been, maybe not, but could have been. But you don't necessarily see the whole trunks on these. That's what I'm telling you, is that some of the trunks are kind of buried. And we'll do the same thing over here. We'll take some greenery here like this, and we'll put it in front of this tree. And even though the picture doesn't show it, because we're at the mercy of whoever shot this photo, we're going to bring a little bit of green out into these leaves out here like that. Say we've got a little bit of light green, a little bit of darker green, and we're just going to come up here like this. Yellow oxide and ultramarine blue make a pretty good olive green. Okay, and let's take a little bit of light color. Where the leaves might be catching the light, we'll put a little bit of light color in a couple places like this. Where the sun might be peeking through the other side here, you just add, this is where we're going to be chasing the light. Here's some little light green leaves like this. Okay, now what about these ones here? Well, let's see, I like that light stuff, so I want to come back over here if I had anything like that. Okay, so then what about these? Well, we don't have to dry a thing. We're just going to rinse our brush and we're gonna say that there's bright yellow leaves in front of these. Okay. In fact, I'm going to lighten up. Well, no, I'm not. All right, so let's just take some yellow and white. Okay, so somewhere yellow and white, and I'm going to make sure I don't have any green. So I'm going to come up here on the side. This is a little green for me, so I'm just going to switch brushes and get a clean brush. I don't want any green, so I'm going to take cad yellow medium and a little white, like that. Mix it up here on the side of the plate, like that. And I want to come across in front of this tree like this and put some bright yellow leaves in front of the trunk of this one. Maybe even have some brighter ones up here. So this, we're saying that this one had some leaves. Now let's make a little orange color. Let's add a little cad red medium and yellow. Mostly yellow with a little tiny bit of cad red medium. Let's put a little bit of this darker color underneath it, like that. And maybe up in here, we might want to tap some brighter red leaves up in here, just tiny. If you're going to use this brush, make sure you keep the leaves real tiny. I'm going to say that there's some sort of closer red bush here, and this is coming in front of these. You see what we just did? And maybe back up in here we need something, maybe a little yellow oxide. And there would be some little bits of leaves on this trunk. There just are. Okay, so just maybe, so you don't have to see them. So cross over a little bit. See, it's going to cross over some of this. Come back here. How about over here now? Do we need to put any little bright orange, kind of some orange. You don't want it quite as bright over on here, but maybe down into here, a little tiny bit of fall leaves like that. Just get it gets smaller. That's the trick. It gets smaller. Maybe coming out here on the edge. And you've got a really cute little painting. Let's just bring it back out here. You've got a really cute little painting. Now I'm just going to kind of ignore the picture now and focus on my own picture now. Kind of that's all I'm going to get from that photograph, and now I'm going to just focus on my own stuff. And maybe I'll bring some brighter orange down in here into the fall leaves. Would there be any coming across the road like this? Maybe. Well, why would they have stopped here just at the road? Why wouldn't there be some out here in the road, maybe? In these shadows? Going across. And here's our next layer of color. Like that. See how we're just sort of brightening this up? And believe it or not, there was some sort of little orange bush over here too, back up in here, in near this greenery. Some little orange thing had fallen, probably poison ivy, but I'm not going there, right? Anyway, there's something orange and red coming over here like that. And if that's too much, just take a little bit of green and push it back. This is so easy to do. If you got carried away, just erase some of it like that. Then you've got a little tiny bush back there. You've got this pretty fall plant here, and I would say this is pretty. I'd say we did pretty well with the tree. Don't you think, John? Do you think that's a pretty good picture, right? Like this. Here's a little bit of brown back in here in the leaves, because there's probably some of that color too. Break that up. A little bit of brown, just burnt sienna. Cover up the painting like that. And there you have it. It just sort of, it's fall. I like that. Don't you guys like that? I think that kind of came out cute. There's our picture. Aha! Not quite an hour and a half, right? Cookie Crumbs normally aren't a full lesson, but we're leaving this up, and it's kind of pretty, and I think it's fall. And there's, I've got other fall paintings up on YouTube of how to do fall in France and so forth, but I rather like this one, so I hope you do too. Kind of like this one. I think it's really nice, and you can kind of see how you can break a painting down and decide how you want to do it. That's the trick. How you want to do it. And that's how your underpaintings are. If you said that this was, the photograph had the leaves the highlights on these more yellow, but the problem was that, and then they wouldn't show up in the because of all the yellow leaves. So I think we did pretty well with that here too. And just break some leaves across here like this. Just put a cup. So I answer any more questions before we. Oh no, I didn't. Wait, John says, what's the wave and water painting for October? Now, for you guys are going, what does that mean? Here, I'm just sort of connected to the phone, and I have to take it with me. Every month on our gingercooklive.gallery, we have some members who subscribe to our Wave and Water Masterclass. Now, you don't have to be a master artist to paint it. Okay, let me zoom way back out so you can see this. But we will help you master the art of painting water, waterfalls, oceans, waves, all that stuff. Okay, so here is the Wave and Water Masterclass for October. That will be the October release. We've got a moon up here. It's called Winter Storm. Got the rocks and everything, waves crashing on the rocks. This, sort of powerful sky. That is the Wave and Water Masterclass. And for those of you who are thinking about becoming members of gingercooklive.gallery, every week we do a release for our members. A regular release for our members get a special release. This was this week's release. It was called Meditation, and we teach you a little bit about water there too. You don't have to be in the wave and water to get some water action. We teach you a little bit about that too. And I think that was a 3 cookie lesson. We have 1 cookie lessons, 2 cookie lessons. We have back to basics. We have so many different things that we feel like. And I have to say, if you have seen this logo on our website, this is the new logo on our website and on our YouTube channel. It's the Ginger Cook Gold with the gold circle. We feel that we really are offering you the gold standard in acrylic lessons, and we really just step by step. Our members will tell you really want to learn something. Join us, and we offer you personal art coaching. So that's one of the benefits. If you're a monthly member, the 7 days not so much, but the monthly members, you can send me your painting, and I will comment on it and send it back. So if you need a little help with something, I'm here to help you. And I mean, that itself is worth $24.95 a month, let alone access to over 200 lessons. And we add 3 a week, so that's pretty exciting. So we'd like to invite you to check out our gallery, gingercooklive.gallery, check out our website. And I hope, and this was our Wave and Water Masterclass, which is kind of cool for October. That will be released October 1st. And while I am gone, I'm going to say this again, while I am on vacation next week, John Little will be here still answering questions for our members. And not only that, but he will be releasing, in case anybody came in late, he'll be releasing on Monday, next Monday. We'll still have a release at our regular time. It'll be released at 7. If you want to try learning how to paint this bag, this is the Gauguin painting. I'm going to show you how to paint a fabric bag, and on Tuesday we're going to show you how to paint the other side, which is going to be Van Gogh's Cafe, which is such a famous painting. That'll go on the other side of the bag on Tuesday, and we'll have those lessons up for you next week. Tomorrow night, I don't remember what we're painting. I think I haven't decided yet. I think it will be another sort of fall thing, though, because I think first week of fall deserves a little attention. But this is our fall painting tonight. I hope you liked it. John, any thoughts? All right, so last chance for questions, if anybody has any. I will say good night, and want to wish you guys a happy evening of painting, and I hope you have fun painting this. I think this will be fun to do, and I think you're going to find it's much easier than you thought. So be sure to check us in on tomorrow night at 7:30. Again, I'm not sure what the painting will be, but it'll be fun. It'll be a full lesson. And then on Wednesday it'll be a full lesson, but we do not leave the Wednesday and Tuesday night lessons up. They end up for our members at gingercooklive.gallery by the weekend, but you'll have plenty of time to paint it with me. So that's always fun. And this is such a nice group of people that join us, isn't it? Isn't it nice to just you see all the chat that's going on? Everybody that plays here is very nice. I hope this was fun. And, have a nice evening. Bye.